how did you come up with the impressive name, the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band?
Well, the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band was my oldies band when I was in high school. My friend Rosie, who's here, was one of our singers and lead singer as well. And I would like to take credit for that fantastic name. However, those of you who are old enough to remember in the 60s when you got a crew cut, the barber would leave some hair in the front. You know, like he'd cut it all back. You ever saw Stand By Me, the River Phoenix look? So he'd cut all crew cut, but they'd leave a little in the front, and then he would take a Lucky Tiger grease stick and go, and then your hair stayed put in a hurricane. You know, it didn't move, and that's what the Lucky Tiger grease stick was, and we actually used those to grease our hair back. When I was in high school, Sha Na Na was big back then, and American Graffiti had come out. So there was this throwback. It was the beginning. It was really the beginning of rock and roll looking back on itself. It was the beginning of oldies radio. Now they call oldies radio music from the '90s. You know, it's like how can that be oldies? You know, but it was the beginning of that, and so we were so into it in high school because our town, where I grew up in this, you know, kind of smallish town, you know, in South Jersey. It wasn't far from Philadelphia, but it might as well have been 100 miles. And we used to cruise up and down the street, like in American Graffiti. We used to have our windows down, put our elbows out, you know, and lean back and make the face. And so we just took it to the nth degree. We just literally greased our hair back, and we put our sunglasses on, and we got all these jobs. And we played high school dances and proms, and you know, all up and down the Jersey and Philadelphia and those areas there. And we were the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band, and then we reached our zenith when when we got to open for Gabe Kaplan, the comedian, who was he was on a TV show called Welcome Back, Kotter at the time, and he was playing at Rutgers University, and a couple of our band members at that point were in college, and they got to play there, so they somehow hooked us up, and we were the opening act. So we rehearsed like crazy, you know, we're the opening act for Gabe Kaplan. And I should have known where we stood when we got into the dressing rooms, and there were 8 of us in our band, and we were all assigned a bathroom, one, that we all had to dress in, that one single bathroom. And then we peered into Gabe Kaplan's dressing room, and it was the size of this room, and it had cold cuts and big spreads, whatever. So of course, being the guys that we were, you know, he wasn't in there, and we're like, hell with him, we're taking these cold cuts. And we went into his room and stole all of Gabe Kaplan's cold cuts. Years later, I ran into him. He became a sports guy, and he came on a radio program I was doing. I said, listen, I owe you an apology. And I had to explain to him that I stole his cold cuts, which he was okay with. And we did our show, and we came out, and Rosie, what was the review? They reviewed us in the paper. And they
said, the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band, our gang, you know, whatever that, they look like that's entertainment.
Yeah, they said they made the Little Rascals look like that's entertainment. And I think that was our first really bad review, and that was the end of that band. You know, we never played again. But that was the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band.